Come in, my friend. Sit. Pull your chair closer. The fire is at its best right now, warm, steady, and certain in its glow. But look closely at the sparks that dance up the chimney. Where do they go? How long do they last? None of us can truly say. They vanish into the dark, into the vast unknown of the night. We spend our entire lives trying to turn the world into a rigid map where every road is clearly marked, every bridge is inspected, and every destination is guaranteed. We want to know exactly what tomorrow holds, what the next year will bring, and if our many efforts will ever be enough. We treat uncertainty as a monster hiding in the fog, a thief waiting to steal our peace and ruin our carefully laid plans. But tonight, as the mist settles over the valley outside and hides the trees from our sight, I want to invite you to look at the fog differently. I want to show you the wisdom of uncertainty. I want to show you why not knowing everything is actually the greatest, most liberating gift you can ever receive. Think about a tiny seed buried deep in the cold, damp earth. Does the seed know what it is destined to become? Does it have a blueprint for how many leaves it will grow, or how tall it will stand against the sky? No. It lives in total darkness, in absolute, crushing uncertainty. And yet, the seed doesn't struggle against the heavy soil in a panic of fear. It doesn't demand to see the sun before it decides to break its shell. It trusts the silent process of life. It grows because it is inherently meant to grow, not because it knows the final outcome. Most of us, however, are like a seed that refuses to sprout because it cannot see the sun yet. We stay paralyzed in our own dark corners, demanding a written guarantee from the universe before we take a single step forward. But life, my friend, does not give guarantees, it only gives invitations. When you demand certainty, you are actually demanding that life stops being alive. Because life, in its very essence, is movement, change, and surprise. Movement always leads to places we haven't been before, and that is where growth hides. I remember a man I met years ago, a master clockmaker who lived in a bustling city. He was a man obsessed with precision. Every second of his day was timed to the tick of a pendulum, every event was planned weeks in advance. He sincerely thought that if he could control time, he could control his fate and banish fear forever. But he was the most anxious, fragile man I have ever known. His hands shook because he was constantly terrified of a gear slipping, a minute being lost, or an unplanned visitor knocking on his door. He lived in a beautiful, golden prison made of his own schedules. Then, one winter night, his shop burned down in a fire that no one could have predicted. He lost every clock, every tool, every plan. I saw him a month later, sitting on a bench, and his hands were perfectly still. He looked at me and said, "Christopher, for the first time in my life, I don't know what happens when I wake up tomorrow. And for the first time, I can finally breathe." He had discovered that the walls he built to keep the unknown out were actually the walls keeping his soul in. When the certainty fell apart, the fear vanished with it, because there was nothing left to protect and nothing left to control. We often fall into the trap of thinking that knowing gives us security. We think if we have the answers, we are safe. But look closely at your own journey so far. Was the most beautiful thing that ever happened to you something you planned down to the last detail in a notebook? Or was it a chance meeting on a rainy afternoon? A sudden, inexplicable change of heart? A door that opened when you weren't even looking for it? Most of the magic in our lives comes from the side streets we didn't mean to turn down. If you knew exactly how your life would end, the day, the hour, the circumstance, would you even want to live it? The mystery is the very thing that gives life its flavor, its zest, and its meaning. The uncertainty is the empty space where miracles have room to breathe and manifest. When you finally say the words, "I don't know," you aren't admitting defeat or showing weakness. You are opening a window to the infinite. You are telling the universe, "I am no longer the director, I am the audience, and I am ready to be surprised by the show." Imagine you are walking through a dense, ancient forest at night with only a small, flickering lantern in your hand. The lantern doesn't show you the entire path to the mountain peak miles away. It doesn't reveal the dangers or the flowers that lie a mile ahead. It only shows you the next 2 or 3 steps right in front of your feet. Does that lack of vision stop you from walking? Does it make the journey impossible? No. You trust that as you take those 2 steps, the light will move forward with you, revealing the next 2, and then the next. This is how we are meant to navigate this life. We don't need to see the mountain top from the shadows of the valley. We only ever need enough light for the very next step. The deep anxiety you feel right now comes from trying to light up the whole mountain at once with a mind that was never meant to hold that much light. Put down that heavy burden, my friend. The lantern you carry, your intuition, your breath, your simple presence in this moment, is more than enough for the path you are on right now. The rest of the forest belongs to the mystery, and that is a beautiful thing. It means there is still room for wonder. In the ancient world, before the time of satellites and maps, sailors didn't have charts of the entire ocean. They didn't know what lay beyond the horizon. They navigated by the stars, distant, ancient lights that stayed true while the waves below were chaotic and unpredictable. They knew that as long as they stayed aligned with something greater and more permanent than their own fears, they would eventually find land, even if their eyes couldn't see it for weeks. Today, we have digital maps for everything, but we have lost our vital connection to the stars. We have forgotten how to navigate by faith, not necessarily a religious faith, but a fundamental trust in the unfolding of life itself. We are so terrified of being lost that we never allow ourselves the chance to be truly found. But sometimes, being lost is the only way to find a part of yourself that isn't defined by your job title, your bank account balance, or your social standing. In the absolute silence of not knowing, you finally begin to hear the quiet voice of who you actually are, stripped of all the labels the world has forced upon you. Look at the river that runs behind this cabin. Does the river worry about the sharp rocks around the next bend? Does it stop flowing in a panic because it doesn't know where the sea is or how long it will take to get there? No. It follows the gravity of its own nature with a relentless, quiet grace. It turns when it must, it falls over jagged cliffs with a roar, it slows down to a crawl in the wide plains, but it never, ever stops. It embraces every curve and every obstacle of the land. When you resist uncertainty, when you fight the unknown, you are trying to make the river flow uphill. You are wasting your precious life energy fighting the inevitable. But when you finally embrace the unknown, you become like the water. You become adaptable. You become fluid and indestructible. You realize that no matter what the terrain looks like, you will find a way through. Not because you have a map, but because you have developed the capacity to flow with whatever comes. You stop being the rock that is worn away and start being the water that does the wearing. Tonight, before you close your eyes and surrender to sleep, I want you to make a lasting peace with the questions that currently have no answers. We all carry them like heavy stones in our pockets. Will I be okay? Did I make the right choice 5 years ago? What if I fail at this new endeavor? Let those questions sit by the fire tonight like tired, weary travelers who have come a long way. You don't have to feed them your energy. You don't have to entertain them or provide them with solutions. Just let them be there. There is a great, hidden power in saying, I do not know the answer, and that is perfectly okay. It is the ultimate act of spiritual surrender. And in that surrender, you will feel the tension leave your neck and shoulders. The tight grip on your heart will begin to loosen. You will realize that the universe has been effortlessly carrying the stars and the planets for billions of years without your help or your worry. Perhaps, just perhaps, it is capable of carrying your tomorrow as well. You are not the manager of the universe, you are a guest in it. The fire is burning low now, turning into those deep, glowing embers that hold the most intense and lasting heat. They don't need to flame and roar anymore to prove their power, they just glow steadily in the stillness of the night. Let your mind become like those embers. Quiet. Warm. Content with what is. The world outside this cabin will keep spinning at a frantic pace, and tomorrow will surely bring its own set of mysteries, its own joys, and its own challenges. Some will be bright like the sun, and some will be dark like the storm. But you won't be afraid anymore. You will walk out into the morning mist with your small lantern, taking one steady step at a time, trusting that the light will always follow you. You are a part of this great mystery, my friend, not a victim of it. And the mystery knows the way home, even when you feel like you've lost the path. Go to sleep now. Let the thick fog wrap around this cabin like a soft, protective blanket. Let go of the maps that no longer serve you. Let go of the clocks that have kept you a prisoner. Rest in the vast, beautiful, and healing ocean of the unknown. You are safe there. You have always been safe there, even when you didn't believe it. Good night, my friend. May your dreams be as still, as vast, and as deep as the silence between the stars that watch over us while we sleep.